The Trojan War is one of the most famous and enduring tales in history, blending myth and reality in a dramatic saga of love, betrayal, and destruction. At the heart of this story lies the city of Troy, a place where gods and men became intertwined in a conflict that lasted 10 years. According to legend, the beauty of Helen, the wife of the Spartan king Menelaus, sparked the war when she fled with Paris, the son of King Priam of Troy. This betrayal, coupled with divine intervention, led to the legendary siege of Troy, culminating in the fall of the city through the cunning of the Greeks' infamous wooden horse. But how much of this epic is rooted in fact? Did the Trojan War truly happen? And did Helen really exist? As we unravel the myth versus the reality, we explore the archaeological evidence, historical accounts, and enduring legacy of one of the ancient world's most captivating stories. The city of Troy. The ancient city of Troy, situated in modern-day Turkey, is famously associated with the legendary war that shaped Greek mythology. Known for its rich culture and strategic location, Troy was a thriving metropolis in the Bronze Age. The city lay on the coast of Asia Minor, guarding the narrow straits between the Aegean Sea and the Black Sea, a key point of trade and military importance. But beyond its geographical significance, Troy became legendary for its entwinement with divine forces. The gods played a significant role in the Trojan War, intervening in mortal affairs and guiding the fate of its people. The war itself was sparked by the love affair between Helen of Sparta and Paris, which set the gods in motion. According to myth, Zeus, Hera, Aphrodite, and Apollo all took sides, manipulating events from Mount Olympus. The gods' involvement in the war has led many to wonder, was the story a fantastical myth, or did it reflect real conflicts and divine beliefs of the time? Archaeological findings, including massive city walls and traces of ancient fire, suggest that Troy existed, but the true nature of its involvement in the war remains debated. Helen of Troy. Helen of Troy is often referred to as the most beautiful woman in the world, whose legendary beauty ignited a war that lasted 10 years. In Greek mythology, she was the daughter of King Tyndareus of Sparta and Leda, and her beauty captivated not only mortal men, but also gods. Her marriage to Menelaus, the king of Sparta, seemed to secure peace, but the gods had other plans. Paris, the prince of Troy, visited Sparta and, struck by Helen's beauty, seduced her. According to legend, Helen fled with Paris back to Troy, abandoning her husband and sparking the rage of Menelaus. Determined to reclaim his wife's honor, Menelaus called upon other Greek kings, including his brother Agamemnon, to join him in a military campaign against Troy. Thus began the Trojan War, a conflict steeped in both divine influence and human folly. While Helen's real existence remains in question, her portrayal in the myth encapsulates the idea of love, desire, and betrayal as powerful forces capable of shaping history. Paris and Helen. The love affair between Paris, the Prince of Troy, and Helen of Sparta is the spark that ignited the legendary Trojan War. Paris, the son of King Priam of Troy, was said to have been the most handsome man of his time, and his charm enchanted Helen, the beautiful wife of Menelaus, king of Sparta. According to the myth, Paris and Helen fell deeply in love at first sight. Despite her marriage, Helen's attraction to Paris led her to elope with him, sailing back to Troy. This act of betrayal enraged Menelaus, who sought revenge and demanded that the other Greek kings aid him in reclaiming his wife. In retaliation, the Greeks united under Agamemnon, Menelaus' brother, and set sail to Troy, beginning the infamous 10-year siege. The romantic yet tragic tale of Paris and Helen has been retold for centuries, illustrating how love, even in its most passionate form, can lead to devastating consequences. While the historical authenticity of their story is debated, its influence on literature and culture remains undeniable, immortalizing the lovers in myth. The role of the gods in the Trojan War. In the myth of the Trojan War, the gods were not mere onlookers but active participants, influencing the fate of both the Trojans and the Greeks. From the very beginning, divine forces took sides, with the gods of Mount Olympus intervening in the war. Zeus, the king of the gods, played a complicated role, shifting his allegiance at various points. Hera, his wife, sided with the Greeks, while Aphrodite, the goddess of love, supported Paris and the Trojans, having promised him the love of Helen. The gods' actions often blurred the lines between fate and free will, making it difficult for the warriors to distinguish between mortal and divine influence, while at other moments they manipulated events behind the scenes. The gods' constant involvement in human affairs reflects the belief in ancient Greece that divine will control the outcomes of human endeavors, even wars as monumental as the Trojan conflict. Homer's Iliad. The story of the Trojan War as we know it today owes much of its form to Homer, the ancient Greek poet whose epic work, the Iliad, immortalized the events surrounding Troy's downfall. Written in the 8th century BCE, the Iliad is one of the oldest and most influential pieces of literature in Western history. It tells the tale of the Greek siege of Troy, focusing on the rage of the hero Achilles. While the poem primarily centers on the last year of the war, it provides a vivid portrayal of the heroism, conflict, and divine intervention that shaped the legendary siege. The Iliad does not cover the entire war but offers profound insights into the characters and gods involved, as well as the brutal realities of ancient warfare. Though it is based on myth, the epic also reflects the Greek worldview, emphasizing honor, fate, and the power of the gods. Homer's work has influenced countless adaptations and remains central to the mythological understanding of the Trojan War. Archaeological evidence. For centuries, many believed that Troy was merely a fictional city, a setting for myth and legend rather than a real historical place. However, the belief in Troy's existence was challenged and eventually confirmed in the 19th century, when German archaeologist Heinrich Schliemann uncovered the ruins of a city in modern-day Turkey that matched the descriptions from Homer's Iliad. In 1870, Schliemann began excavating a mound known as Hisarlik, located in the northwest of Turkey, and uncovered the remains of a large fortified city that showed signs of destruction. The evidence suggested that Troy had been a significant city during the Bronze Age, around 1250 BCE, the time traditionally associated with the Trojan War. Further excavations have revealed layers of settlement, indicating Troy had been rebuilt multiple times. The Siege of Troy. The Siege of Troy, as described in Homer's Iliad, portrays a 10-year conflict between the Greeks and Trojans, with epic battles and heroic warriors. However, the historical reality of such a prolonged siege is debated among scholars. There is no definitive evidence to support the idea that a siege lasted for a decade. Ancient records suggest that sieges typically lasted only months, not years. Though the Trojan War itself may have been based on real events, the mythic portrayal of the siege, with gods and larger-than-life heroes, remains largely fictional. The story of the Trojan War continues to captivate the imagination, blending myth with historical possibility. While the details of the war, such as the Siege of Troy and the famous Trojan Horse, remain steeped in legend, archaeological findings suggest that the city of Troy was indeed real, and the conflict may have been inspired by actual events. The divine interventions, the love story of Helen and Paris, and the heroic feats of warriors like Achilles and Hector are part of a narrative that endures through history, reminding us of the power of myth and the mysteries of the past.